number 2 now, and this is Dmitry Rodionov. Dmitry's topic is to do with researching and presenting something that's unfamiliar to himself, and he has chosen to talk about a recent 10-day adventure he told me about, in which he said that it was the best investment he's ever done in his life. So, and the mystery is, he didn't tell me more. So I'm looking forward to this, and the timing of the speech is 8 to 9 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Timer. So welcome, Dmitry, with the speech title being Seeing Things as They Really Are. Thanks, Dmitry.
10 days of silence, no contact with the family, friends, 100 hours of meditation. All to learn to meditate, reflect on yourself, accept and accept the world as it is. Fellow Toastmasters and our many guests today, welcome. A few weeks ago I said goodbye to my family, handed in my cell phone, my belongings, and embraced into a 10-day silent meditation retreat, Vipassana meditation retreat. It was quite an experience. It was definitely one of the toughest things I've ever done, and for sure one of the most worthwhile investments of my time. At some point during the course, it felt like my whole life got surfaced up in front of me. So all my beliefs, problems in life, experiences kind of surfaced up in front, and I could look at those with a clear mind, dismantle those, relieve those experiences, and reset. I was crying from joy. I was nearly crying from pain. I lost 3 kgs, but gained so much more in return. And today I wanted to share the whys, the whats, and the hows of Vipassana, and just share my experience. So starting with why. I've heard of Vipassana a few years ago, and recently a friend of mine and his wife did it in New Zealand and inspired me to give it a go. I always wanted to learn to meditate and make it part of my daily practice. Plus hitting 40 last year, midlife crisis, I really needed a reset. And so my amazing wife agreed to look after our little ones while her mom was visiting New Zealand, and the moment I was given the green light, I signed up immediately. Because my gut was telling me that this was exactly what I needed to do. So what is Vipassana or Vipassana? It is an ancient Buddhist tradition which goes back 2,500 years, and it was practiced since then. It's religion agnostic, and it means seeing things as they really are. And the core purpose of that is to clear your mind and to see things as they are, and to give you the happiness that comes from liberation and full acceptance. There is only one meditation center, one Vipassana meditation center in New Zealand, located about an hour drive from Auckland. Normally about 70 people participate, and it's split into 2 campuses for men and women. And you have to do the course first time over 10 days to get the full technique, the full formula as it's intended, and then you can do repeated courses over shorter periods of time. So how does it work? Well, there was quite a clique of very different people participating from very different backgrounds. And on day 0, you get to meet all these people, and you get to dine and have meals which are prepared for you with the 4 people at the same table. And at our table we had a builder in his 30s who just came out of divorce. We had a professional cricket player in his 20s who was just working to uplift his mental game. We had a retired chef in his 60s, and myself. The timetable for the day is pretty standard. It's pretty much the same every day. So you wake up at 4 a.m., You meditate for 2 hours before breakfast, 3 hours before lunch, 3 hours after lunch, and 2 hours after dinner before bedtime at 9:30. And every day you're given a dose of theoretical guidance and theory to be put into practice the following day. The first 3 days, or actually 4 days, were the toughest, because for me, I've never done yoga, never done meditation. Sitting with my back straight, unsupported, was very difficult. So I was dealing with a lot of pain, plus obviously trying to prime my brain to be able to focus on all kinds of sensations and the breathing. And for the first 3 days, you're not given the main technique, that's only given on day 4. So essentially you're just sitting there observing your breath and observing sensations. And on day 4, you're given the main technique, which is essentially scanning your body from top of your head to tip of the toe, continuously, sequentially, in the same order, just observing all kinds of sensations like tingling, pain, pleasure, heat, warmth, etc., and just being at ease with everything. The moment when this technique is given was probably the toughest, because the teacher asks you not to move or change your posture while the technique is given. So an hour and 40 minutes of hell. I was nearly crying. And afterwards the teacher is telling you, okay, every time you meditate in the hall with others for an hour at a time, you are not to move or change the posture. And those hours were dreadful, especially the end of the day when you're so tired, exhausted. And those last 15 minutes was hell. And you could hear men and women crying in the hall, particularly in these early days. So how does it work? So essentially you're scanning your body from top to bottom, you're experiencing all kinds of sensations, and you're training to be equanimous towards all these kinds of sensations, which means that you're trying to be in balance and accept all kinds of sensations as they are without trying to change them. And you are essentially training your mind to accept the pain, accept the pleasure, stop craving the pleasurable sensations, just like pleasurable things in your life, and stop being ignorant and trying to get away from pain and problems in your life. So essentially you're trying to embrace the impermanent nature of things. Because everything in life is impermanent. Everything in life is arising and passing away, arising and passing away. And it was getting easier day by day, but only just slightly. The way the formula works is that it gives you just enough pain, just enough to keep you on the edge. So as it got easier for me, I suddenly got knee pain, and I could only walk kind of like that for 2 days. So I had to live with that pain. And then when that pain subsided, I had stomach cramps for 2 days. So I had to meditate, sense that pain, and learn to accept it. And accept that this was impermanent and that was just part of it. And I think by day 8 or 9, it finally clicked, and I let go and accepted it. And at the end, a lot of people, when we finally started talking on day 10, a lot of people called it the Pain Academy. And I know that for some people who were not experiencing as much physical pain, they got a double dose of emotional pain to deal with. But strangely enough, not a single person complained. Everyone was so grateful for the experience, and everyone got something personal, something life-changing in return from that. So in conclusion, it was quite life-changing for me. I learned to meditate. I learned to be more at peace with myself. And I think most importantly, I got a glimpse of the happiness that the present moment in its full acceptance can give you. And now I've embraced meditation into my daily routine to be able to retain that feeling. and I will continue doing it throughout my life. And I just wanted to leave you with one final thought and share one of my realizations. In the very beginning, over those first 3 days when I was training myself to focus on my breath, I realized that I could only hold my attention on my natural breath for about 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds before my mind would wander to a thought, and I would just get lost in this. And it made me rethink free will and our internal ability and our destiny to be able to control things in life. Because it seems like we are like puppets on the string, never knowing what we're going to think next, how we're going to react to this. So to leave you with a question, if we can only control ourselves for 10 seconds, how can we control something as complex as our lives?
Thank you very much, Dimitri. Super interesting. So now I'm welcoming up our first evaluator.